We are live. Good morning. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, we are designing 4 different UIs that I'm super duper excited about. This isn't a part of the 100 Days of UI Design Challenge, but it is a part of the new weekend series where I'm practically live for the whole weekend, which is fun. So, the first UI that we're building today has a lot of things to do with 3D, has a lot of things to do with super duper cool effects that you haven't yet seen, and let's just get to our prototype. This is what we're going to be designing today. It is a super duper fun, super duper nice, very very natural green cosmetic line, and I feel like one of the reasons we had to do this was because of the number of special effects that we're going to be talking about today. The first one being this 3D glow card effect, which we haven't done ever on this channel, and it's going to be super duper awesome. The first thing that you notice right off the bat is this beautiful glow effect. The second thing I want to talk about is this wave section divider. Like, how cool is that? I know I'm nerding out on all of the small stuff, but I should, because this is like one of the coolest UIs you can add to your portfolio as a UI UX designer. All right, this is the second section, and instantly I'm in love with the way it starts, and I perfectly love the way it just executes overall. You have your two sections divided on the left and right, and this shows a level of proficiency that most portfolio projects won't, even though I do portfolio projects on YouTube all the time. This is our commitment section. I feel like this is very interesting as well. It has a couple of waves going, it has a couple of interesting things going, and it really does set it apart from your usual commitment mission sections that you'd see online. The next one we're talking about is balancing your color palette so that it can accommodate all of these different colors, making it all work. And I feel like this is the most fun section, even though we have all of these cool effects on our screens above. So this is my favorite section, by the way. And these are the next sections that we're designing. This is, again, a breathing section, has a lot of white space, is practically white, and then gives you a little bit more clear brain while you're coming into the footer. Again, I love the way it blends the different brands that use your design with the footer with these beautiful waves. Again, this is going to be a super duper amazing build. If you haven't joined us yet, go join the Discord group. It is in the description, and we can get all of these images, everything that we're using, every single asset for all of these UIs there. And with that, let's just get started. All right, the very first thing you're going to do is create a new Figma file. So if you don't have Figma installed yet, you're going to go to Google, search for figma.com/downloads, and then we're going to get started with Figma. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is create a new design file, and this is the simplest thing you can get started with. If you haven't yet worked with Figma, you're just going to reach a home screen that looks something like this, and then you're going to click on create new, and then that's going to create a new design file for you. And then this is going to be the exact same thing that happens when you click on what we just clicked on, the plus at the top. All right, and with that, let's just get started with our very first UI design. The frame size that I'm using today is quite special because Figma has recently given us many different kinds of prototype settings. So if you just go over here to your Figma file, and this can happen in this as well, there isn't any issue with that. You just go over to your frame, check out the prototype tab, and when you see your prototype settings, you get a couple of options. The first option that you get, one of the first options that you get is Android expanded in the second section, 1280 by 800 pixels, and also you get MacBook Air, which is 1280 by 832. Now, the thing with most prototypes is, and I want to get this out of the way first, you can have a really, really long, infinitely long height, and that doesn't really make a difference in as how your UI is going to be seen from a user's eye. The more important part usually with these UIs is the width, and when you make sure you have the exact same width as your container, you're probably set. The reason height doesn't matter here is because you're going to be scrolling it anyway, so your height is longer than your frame, obviously. Now, the reason we're choosing 1280 pixels of frame width is because while we are in Figma, we get the option to see what it looks like both on a laptop, like it does right now, and then you can also go ahead and see what it looks like on something like a tablet or a phone. And then this is really good if you want to screen record the whole thing or get a couple of screenshots, send it to a client, or put it in your portfolio case studies as well. So I feel like this provides you the most flexibility in terms of your own portfolio project, which is why we're just going to keep it at 1280 pixels. And with that, let's create a simple frame of 1280 pixels. We're just going to click on the frame button, and then we're just going to click in the center of the screen. You don't have to worry about getting it perfect in the first run. Alright, and then we're going to change the width to 1280 by, let's do 832 pixels because it's sort of stuck in my brain now. Alright, this is our very first frame, the first thing that we're going to be working with. Right off the bat, we are going to now think about the first thing that we need to take care of. The first thing that we need to do is have a background color, because right now it's white and that is really weird. You can go to your fill section and choose a color that you like, or alternatively, if you don't want to do that, you can just copy this exact hex code that I'm using. So I'm just going to get the hex code color that I'm using over here. Alright, so the current shade of green that I'm using is 00251B. Say hi in the chat, everybody. We've just now started, and the color that we're using is 00251B. We've just created a simple frame, nothing complicated at all. Oops. 00251B. And now we're going to get started on our wave, because that seems to be the second most logical thing we do. And I feel like this can be done two ways, so I'm just going to go back to my easier way now, because that just makes more sense. Instead of creating a background with this color, you could also create a sort of vector shape that has this width, has this height, and then ends in a wave, and then that should really do you the wave section divider without having to worry about image masks and whatnot. So you know what, let's just go back to white, because why not? I'm going to go back to white, and now we're going to create our very first section. You're going to click on the pen tool or press P on your keyboard, and then now we're going to put our pen on one of the corners, put our pen on another one of the corners, bring it down to whatever width you want. I feel like this should do us some good. And now we're going to press on a different point and drag completely. So this is the practical way of using the pen tool. You just place it on another point and drag, and we're just going to keep on doing that for a little while. And I feel like this is really close to what we were planning on making. If you don't like the shape that you make in the first go, you can always delete a couple of these lines, come back again and try again. Alright, so this is our very first section. If you don't have a perfect stroke yet, that is completely fine too. You're going to remove the stroke and add a fill, and now this is going to be the color that we initially thought of, 00251B. If you don't like the shape that you have currently, you can move around all of these dots to reach a point where it looks good enough. We're just going to keep on dragging this and make sure we're at a good shape. All right, and with that, we have our section ready. The next thing that we're going to take care of is obviously our very first image. Now, this image I have taken from Lumi, which is now coming out to be my favorite stock image platform in the whole world. It's a tool by Pablo Stanley, and it uses AI artwork to give you a lot of the stock images that you wouldn't usually find on Unsplash and Pexels and Pixabay. And I feel like that's really useful, especially when you've been designing for a considerable amount of time and you are absolutely bored of your first couple of images that Unsplash gives you. And I've gone really deep on Unsplash as well. So at this point, it's just boring or used stuff all the way. Let's just go to the assets and plugins. If you don't yet have Lumi, you're going to search for it, and then that's going to give you this black L, which is the icon. And now we're going to search for makeup. Let's just hope it gives us the image that we're looking for. Oops. This doesn't seem to be what we want at all. Why aren't you green? Let's try a couple of green. It does take some time to get you the perfect color that you're looking for, and if you want the exact image that I'm using, let's just go back and get the color that is in the image, and then hopefully that should give us something to work with. So the way I'm getting these colors now is creating a simple rectangle, getting my eyedropper tool and copying one of these colors over here. So this should be 276055. I'm just going to copy this now and change the hex code over here. Let's hope this gives us something. I don't think it does, which is crappy. I feel like these iterations are always changing. Sometimes you get one thing, sometimes you don't get something, and that's completely fine. We're just going to get another image. Make sure your rectangle is selected so the image can be put inside the rectangle only. And with that, we have our image. If you're not happy with the exact placement of whatever it is that you get, you're going to go to your image fill, change the fill to crop, and now we're going to crop our image. And by crop, I mean you're just going to take the image and then you're going to press on the arrow key, which goes down, and with that you're going to shift your image at the real bottom, and this feels much more complete, much better. Alright, the next thing that we're going to do is obviously add a glow effect, because we had to. We're going to create an effect and change it to drop shadow, because why not? And now we're going to change this to a really light shade of white, and white and black are the perfect drop shadow colors, especially if you change their opacities, because with you can achieve practically anything when you have white and black with you. That's just a ground rule number one. Alright, we're going to increase the spread on this a little bit, and you might want to adjust it for a little while until you find something that you're really happy with, because we're making a glow effect that looks something like this. And I feel like you could just move around these numbers by a whole lot, change them around, see what works best for you. Again, the trick is always in changing the blur and spread. So this is the spread. It goes in the around side directions, and then this is the blur, which blurs things out, whatever your color may be. I feel like you don't have access to spread if you're not using a conventional rectangle. So if you draw it using a pen tool, or if it's a vector of any sort, you don't get access to spread, and that's something to really look out for. Alright, the next thing that we're going to do, you know what, this is looking quite weird. You know what, I'm just going to make it smaller. This wave looks much better now. The next, you know what, let me just expand this guy. And say hi in the chat, everybody. We've been not live in a really long time, and it's super duper amazing to be back. Alright. In fact, I have a complete day of live streams planned. So if you go and check on the live stream section of this channel, you can find the 4 different live streams that we're doing today, which is awesome. The next thing that we're going to build is our menu. And interesting fact, this is quite reminiscent of the very first menu I did on my own portfolio website. So it's really fun. It's really simple. not very complicated. You can have it in your own portfolio, you can have it in your own websites, and I feel like this is the simplest thing you can do. 2-line menu. We're going to go to Iconify, search for Iconify, and then we're going to search for menu. MENU. Alright, and now we have the 2-line menu. And we're back, finally. Once again, we're going to get this icon, make it smaller, obviously, and change the color as well. I'm going to make it white. Go right here, reduce the thickness, and make sure your stroke is set to a really low number, because the way they give it to you is actually very, very thick, and it's exhausting to deal with that big a menu. I feel like this should be a good place to stop. You can adjust it as you want because it doesn't make a difference at the end of the day. And now we have our menu with us. Alright, the next thing that we're going to do is obviously our title. And I feel like at this point everyone should know what font this is, because we use it every single time. Almost every single time. This is Play Fair Display. Glow Naturally, Shine Bright. Let's just type it out. Glow. Say hi in the chat, everybody, because why not? Glow naturally, shine bright like the morning. Natural. How do I forget to spell in the middle of live streams? This is embarrassing. Let's change the font to... Trend asks why to do components. Why am I not doing components? I feel like this is a really starters place. So we've just now started out, and you could do components here. I haven't yet done components. Keep watching and I might integrate a couple of components. We've just now started. And what would we even make components out of? I guess we could make a component out of this guy, but when it comes to that, we'll get to it. Keep on watching, and hopefully there's a couple of components in the mix, because I don't yet know what to make a component out of. To make a component, one of the first ethical criterias is you could make a component, you could make infinite components, but the ethical criteria is what are you going to do with the component? The point of a component is to be reusable. And so if it isn't reusable, you have to think about your storage. Why are you making a component if you don't need to? But I do think we might need a component in this live stream or any of the others that we're doing today. We're aligning this to the right, and then we're going to increase the width. Let's do extra bold, because why not? Font size is set to 72. You could take it down to 64 if you wanted, but it's just bigger and bolder this way, and I love that. Alright, the next thing that we're building out is our description. Discover the beauty of nature with our premium skincare products. If you guys have any questions about UI UX design, anything at all, let me know, because I want to answer questions. Discover. Oops. Why am I not able to spell? The beauty of nature with our premium skin. Nature with our premium skincare products. Woohoo! Done. And now we're going to our second font, which we're using. This is a very, very simple font, and it's one of the best pairings you could have with Play Fair Display. The font that we're using is Lato. We haven't used them in quite a while, but it does look really, really efficient, really, really nice. And it has a couple of settings. And I feel like the fact that it only has regular bold and black makes things so much simpler, so much easier to deal with. If you guys have any questions related to UI UX design, anything software, just let me know, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Let's change this to 20, and you can change the width as well. The next thing that we're doing is our button. This is a super duper simple button, nothing too complicated at all. We're going to copy and paste it. Change this to what did it just say? Shop now. I thought it said skin now. Shop now. I'm live 4 times a weekend, 4 times every day throughout the weekend, which is like 8 live streams. Super duper fun. If you want to see more of that, subscribe. And not to sound like a complete YouTuber, but click on the notification bell so that you know every single time I'm live that I'm live. Let's make this guy a button, and also make sure the width and everything is set to whatever it needs to be set to. Let's get rid of this. And I feel like this is a really good boilerplate starter for our buttons. You can adjust the width and height as you'd like. And you're going to change this to hug contents. This is going to make sure everything is set exactly the way it needs to be. And we're going to add a fill to the frame, not to the text but to the frame, because the frame has the padding, and that's going to make it really easy for your colors. Let's change this to the background black that we were using, because it just gives it such a sense of harmony. And now we're going to add a border radius to the frame. And I feel like this is the easiest, simplest way to make responsive buttons on the fly, because people make buttons using rectangles and texts, but they aren't very useful when you're designing for like responsive layouts. So this is just perfect for that. Make sure it's set to center so everything aligns in the center. We're going to make sure this text also aligns in the center and has minimum width. This works. All right, and now we have our button. The next thing that we're going to take care of is our waves, because you'd see here that these are 2-3 completely beautiful waves that are just going around here. And the way we make them happen is we're going to change the opacity of our waves. So we're just going to go over here, bloop, 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 create a couple of new waves. And make it smaller. If you're not really comfortable with it, you can use the Get Waves plugin. Again, it's really simple to use. If you're not familiar with it, we have a video on Figma plugins and you could check it out. It's the simplest 5 and most useful plugins you'd ever need, especially in Figma. We're going to get rid of this, add a fill. And don't worry if your shapes look weird like this. You're just going to take it, drag it behind your first vector, and that's just going to put it in the background. Now we're going to go to this color that we were using and go in one of these parts. And this is really easy, because you're just going to go anywhere you like. It doesn't have to be very specific. And then this is one of these colors that I'm going to use. I need to have one more wave. You can add as many as you'd like. And oops, we're going to copy this vector, not the fill. Copy the vector, paste it back again, shift it around. It doesn't even need to change its shape. And now we're going to change the colors that we're using for this. So we could do a really dark shade of green, or you know what, let's just send it to the back. The very first thing that we're going to do, right click and flip it horizontally, and that is going to give you a completely different wave now. So you're just going to place this here, and you can change these shapes if you like. If anything becomes too much or too weird, you can always change this. Why is this looking weird? I need to make it again, because for some reason it's just looking horrible. Having the pen tool gives you so much control over what you're making, and I love that. Alright, the next thing that we're going to take care of is our wave. Let's do wave. The color of the wave. Why am I saying wave again? Let's add, where did you go? Let's add a fill. Change the color to, let's do this green, and then we can go darker. Send it to the back. If anything looks, if yours looks too as weird as mine does, you're just going to, you're going to go to your main vector and copy and paste it. Send this behind your first vector, and then shift this wave by a couple of pixels. Hopefully that should make things interesting. Let's put this right here, make it bigger. And now we're going to reduce its opacity. Let's hope this does something good for us. I feel like this is much better than what we started with. Let's flip it horizontally, because I'm struggling to get my wave right at this point. What is going on? I feel like this is a really good place to stop, because you could go on for a really long time, but it is going to be one of the waves that you do make is a variation of this, and it is going to be the one that works. So you can just take your time to play around with it, figure out a wave that works for you. Otherwise, this does look quite nice as well. Let's do something. Wow, I am really terrible at this. Alright, the next thing that we're going to do is go to our next section, because that is what we've been planning for. This is our explore our collection section, and the very first thing you notice right off the bat is that it has a really light shade of light green. So we're just going to go back and get one of the light greens that we're using for the background. I feel like this is the one, ECFD F5. If you want to put it in your own frame, you're just going to go to your frame, change the fill to ECFD F5, and now this gives us our second frame section. The next thing that we're taking care of is our explore our collection button, and these three are at their core very similar. So they're just left aligned versions of this, and the font size is a little bit smaller over here, but they are practically the same thing. You're just going to press shift on your keyboard, select multiple ones of these, and then click on Control G. That's going to give you one single group, and now we're going to copy and paste this group once again. Don't worry if you can't see most of what's going on right here. I can't either. And we're going to change the black to white and white to black, and that's pretty much it. So you have to swap colors over here. And now we're going to make sure everything is aligned towards the right side. So we're just going to make sure this is aligned towards the right, and this and this. All of these have to be aligned with this guy. So we're just going to have to shift it. Oops. Why are you not shifting? This shifts so slowly, and it makes me completely mad. Let's shift this and hope it works out. All right. When you see the red line, that's a good place to stop, because Figma provides these naturally red lines, and they help you so much with spacing. They have been a complete lifesaver. All right, we're just going to place this over here, and I feel like this is a good place to stop. We could reduce the font size. We could just leave it as it is. I'm choosing to reduce the font size because it gives us a sense of hierarchy on which heading is more important. And let's reduce the font size as well. Let's bring this down to 16. And buttons can stay as they are because, well, they are buttons, and you need the user to do this shop now action. There is no point in reducing their worth or their sense of importance as such. The next thing that we're taking care of is this glowing section, but before we do that, let's change these colors. They are slight variations, but they do so much in your complete color palette. We're going to go right here, get our shade of green, which is 059669. We're going to copy this, and you can use this exact same color, 059669. If you guys have any questions at all related to UI UX design, do leave them in the comments in the live chat, because I would love to answer them. 064E3B, that's our button color. 064E3B, and this is primarily our color palette now. Alright, the next thing that we're taking care of is, I think, our card, and this is now the point where I'm thinking of using components, but I wouldn't use components. Reason being, when you use a component, you're signaling to Figma, I'm just going to take this guy and I'm going to duplicate it, and the only thing that I'm going to change maybe is the image, maybe one or two effects, but other than that, they are very similar to their very core. And I don't want to do that. The only reason I'm not doing that is because this is image and this is text. So you do want the glow effect that is going on here, but you don't want it in white because this is in white, and then you want it in black, and also you want there to be text instead of image. This is all doable in components, but it's going to be very messy, very complicated. Instead, we're going to create a shadow style. So we're just going to click on this rectangle, go to the effects, click on effect styles, and we're going to click on plus. Let's create shadow style. Let's call it shadow because I can't type. And we're going to make sure this guy aligns with this guy. These are main basic principles of alignment, and they go such a long way in making sure your UIs actually turn out to look good. Now we're creating a frame because frames will do whatever another shape would do and also hold your text, hold your information, which is awesome news for us. Add a fill. I think the fill is going to be this exact same color of dark black that we're using over here. It's actually dark green. I said dark black. I don't know why I did that. Add a border radius, make things nice and rounded. If you guys have any questions related to UI UX design in general or software, let's do them. We're going to place this right here. And also we're going to make sure, hold on, let me just do some magic, and that's it. Alright, now we're going to add our shadow. So we're going to go to the effects, add our shadow, and I feel like you're not able to see the shadow because it is in white and white is the background as well. So we're going to go over here, break it off, change this FFF to black, which is OOOO, and you can also change the color if you want, and now you're starting to see something actually happen. Check this out. This is where you start to see some actual effects take place. You can change this black to a dark shade of green as well, and that's going to make it easier on the eyes. Let's go over here and we're going to reduce our spread. We're going to reduce our blur because it all feels like a little bit too much for now. 598 seems like the perfect width to stop. And I'm also going to make sure this guy aligns with this guy every single time. This works, and now we're going to make sure we add all of these. So we're going to get our icon, get our title, get our description. Icons, iconify, title and description, you can either type them out as we are, so you can pause this video, type these out if you want to, or alternatively you can go to Lorem Ipsum plugin in Figma by Div Riots, and that's going to give you a bunch of really cool text lines. In fact, I'm going to do that now just to demonstrate. The very first thing we're going to do is iconify for icons. If you don't yet have iconify, search for it, you're going to find it. And let's get our first camera icon. I don't even know why I do camera icons so often, but there is a camera in front of me and that makes my brain work in mysterious ways. Let's get our camera. What camera should we get? Again, for these, I feel like we don't really need to worry about what icons we're using. So this is a camera icon, but if you guys really quickly comment what icons you want to see next, I'm going to use them on our next sections. Let's have a couple of comments. Let's get this guy. What should we get? Should we get this? Let's get this. It's always nice to... Oops. Wow, face camera was not working. Is it working? Is it not working? I am bound to switch these systems because I'm going to switch out my system because... Oh no, is it working? It's not working once again. What is going on? Hello. Is it working now? I feel like it is, and I'm going to stop playing around now. Is my camera working? Just let me know, because it's really hard to tell now. Alright, I feel like it is, and we're going to continue with that. If you guys have any recommendations on the icons I should use, I'll use a monkey icon if you tell me to. I'm just that crazy now. It's working. Thank you, Atul. We're going to reduce this width. Should I use a monkey for the next icon? Because I feel like we're being so smart in this live stream and we need to have a couple of monkeys in the mix. Let's make sure the frame has an auto layout, and the reason we're using auto layouts is it provides a really good sense of padding. Add a border radius, add a fill. Oops, if your icon is too thick or too thin, change these numbers up, and that should give you a good place to land on. We're going to change the color of this to green. Let's do this green because it's light and it's pretty. And this is so fun because you reduce the width and automatically your circle scales with you. This is the core of what responsive design is. It isn't completely responsive design because you need to have different screen sizes going on there, but it is a key principle in responsive design, so that makes you think. Alright, the next two that we're doing are the title and description. Next, nourishing moisturizer and a lightweight moisturizer, something, something, something. So we're just going to copy our text. You know what? Why would I copy text? I'm just going to get the Lorem Ipsum plugin because I need to demonstrate that as well. LOREM IPSUM Lorem Ipsum. Our very first plugin. No, our third plugin. Forgive me. We're going to add a text and we need just 2 words. So we're just going to change this to 2 words and generate it. It says hipster ipsum and I'm happy with that for some reason. We're going to make sure these are really close together because they form one single section and there need to be 3 different sections. Come on guys, really quickly tell me what icons I should use next because this could be a fun challenge. Let's change this to bold and also we're going to change this color to the light green that we were using. We're also going to add a description now. A lightweight moisturizer, something, 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 something. I don't want to type it out. I don't think you do either. You can just pause the video and type it out if you need to exactly. Especially if you're putting it in a portfolio, it might be a smart idea to just pause the video right here, copy this exact same text box because you need to be looking serious and not putting monkey icons for your real world portfolios. Let's reduce this guy to 12. And now we're going to click on shift and select all of these at once. Control G to group them together. And now we have a group. We need to have 3 different groups. So let's do a group. Nope, it looked better before. Alright, we're going to get our group number 3, copy and paste it once again. Oops. This is going to be our second section and now we're going to get our third section too. Let's now do our second icon. What icon should I do now? Really quickly, leave a comment guys. Let's do monkey. Why not? This monkey looks like a sweet normal monkey. I could do this monkey. Alright, one of the things you need to make sure with your icons is have these exact same width and height because your frame is just set to take up padding after your icon. So whatever your width and height is, make sure this link icon is pressed so your width and height is always equal. And now we're going to change this to 28. And if your icon looks something like this, do not panic at all. What is going on? We have a really high stroke inside the group, inside the vector, and we're going to make sure to reduce that. I feel like it has an icon of the camera as well, so I'm just going to delete that, and with that we have our perfect little monkey over here. Look at him, so happy. Let's give this monkey a name. Let's call him, what should we call this monkey? I'm thinking of names now. Let's call him, what should I call him? What's a good name for a monkey? You know what? I'll think of something. What's another icon? Let's do a brush. What are good names for monkeys? Can anyone suggest a good name for a monkey? Let's change this to 28. Get rid of our camera. I feel like Joe could be a good name for a monkey. Joe Monkey. Because I was bored. If you are making this for a portfolio, please don't put down Joe Monkey as one of your features because it is hilarious and it might make some hiring managers angry. But I'm going to do it anyways. You can do all of these icons. You can do the check icon and then search for the cloud icon. You're going to find all of them in Iconify. Completely free, completely useful. Change your text. I'm going to use Joe Monkey because I need to. It is what makes me happy. Alright, next section that we're building out is our commitment section. We're going to create a new frame. And let's make sure it's completely working. I feel like from now on we should make this a tradition. Every single time I do a live stream, I should disguise a monkey in there somewhere because this is so simple and it's so fun. Does anyone want to see a monkey in every single one of these live streams? Alright, this and this is our description and title, which we've just taken from here. So we're just going to go back to our first section. The reason I'm not taking this is because the commitment section is considerably larger than this and seems equivalent to this, so you don't have to change the font sizes, and that's one less step to worry about. We're going to go to our group and then copy and paste the group even with the button, and then we're going to get rid of the button because no one needs the button. Change this to our commitment. Give this a straight line, and now we're going to place this inside over here, and we're going to use our lorem ipsum plugin once again to give us like 2-3 sentences, not iconify, lorem ipsum. If you guys have any questions related to UI UX design at all, leave them in the comments. And now we have 2 different sections. Align everything in the center because you absolutely need to. And now we're just going to make sure our width is also at a number where we're happy with. This is the special thing with our commitment section. We're doing 2 or 3 waves, which is an advanced concept in UI design because now you're working with blobs and waves. Let's give ourselves a couple of waves. You know what? I'm going to do something fun for this one. Rather than making my own wave, I'm going to use the easier option, the Get Waves plugin in Figma. Let's create any wave that you like, and then if you're not happy with it, you can change the width and height, and that should give you a good place to start, at least a good place to start. And we want this to be see-through, and we want the user to still be able to see what's in the background. So we're just going to change this to a dark, you know what, let's do a black, and then we can reduce the opacity. That's the simplest way to do it without worrying about all of our different colors. And we're going to go back to Get Waves and get one more wave. This already looks, can I just point out, this looks so much better than this. Like, you could do Get Waves plugin and that should make your life so much easier. You can play around with the complexity of the wave over here. You can randomize the wave with the same complexity over here, and then you have a couple of options. You can do building, you can do zigzag, and then you can reverse them as well. So opposite building, opposite zigzag, opposite wave. So I'm just going to go back to my plain wave now. This looks cool. Let's do this. If you're not happy with the direction of the wave, especially because it was a little bit populated on this side and then empty over here, you can go ahead, right click, flip horizontal, and now when I change my wave, it's going to be perfect. Let's get this wave. And why am I not able to select a simple blue wave? Make sure everything is inside of your frame, because if it isn't, it's going to give you a whole ton of trouble. We don't want trouble. And now we're going to get rid of our everything else. Now you're going to go back to like white and then reduce your opacity over here. So go ahead and do black and then reduce the opacity from here once. Go ahead and do white and reduce the opacity from there, and that's just going to be perfect. Why did I send them to the back? I didn't mean to. Alright. I feel like this is a good place to stop, but also you could sort of work with these colors until you are happy with what you've got. I'm just going to send this. How do you send this behind that? Where is our commitment section? I feel like this is really high up. We lost it. We're going to go back and put it in here. Where did you go? I think I lost the wave. Horrific news. Waves are always difficult to work with, I'm not going to lie. Put them in the group. Put them in the group. Make this above this. Make it, oops, go right here, make it smaller. And if it looks weird like this, you can always go ahead and change this to this exact shade of green. So you're going to go right here and select this shade of green, and then that's going to not stroke, I want fill. So you're going to get this color which you get from the union of these two, and now this is a good color to work with. You're going to bring this to front, and you can shift this above by a couple of pixels if you need to, or work with these colors. I feel like I should just copy and paste the colors that we're using over here, because that will make our lives very, very simple. So the color that we're using for the background is, what is this color? So the first, let's just, so if you want to copy your colors, you're going to create a couple of rectangles. This is just a general tip if you want to copy your colors from any design at all. And select this guy, get this color, this is our first color. Then we're going to get our second color, which is this one, and now we're going to get our third color, which is this one. Sometimes overlapping layers lead it to a very difficult deciding of the colors, and that's a headache. We're going to change this to 058A60. Second one is going to be 059669. If you guys have any questions related to UI UX design or what we're doing currently, leave them in the comments. Let's change the third one, which is 064E3B. Alright, and this is a good place to stop with the waves. You can go on for as long as you want to, but it's going to look prettier, but we have a limit on the time we can do this. Atul asks, where did I find this UI template, or did I just do it on my own before the live session? I made it on my own. In fact, if you guys want to see a little bit on the behind the scenes of what we've been doing, while I was preparing for these live sessions, because we have 4 today, 4 tomorrow, I did record a whole weird vlog, so I might release that at some point, because it takes you through the process of actually thinking about creating a website, building it out yourself, and that's a good place to start. But if you're not very comfortable with designing your own UIs, you can go ahead and generate your, and this is a prototype tip that I've already done on the channel. There is a video on this channel, the second last one we did, and it's called designing a website with 100% AI, and the thumbnail is 100%, and there is a weird robot on it, and it goes through taking Musho, which is a platform for generating prototypes, and it gives you a really good prototype to start, and then you can go ahead and change the fonts and everything. It is generating a website prototype using AI, but AI isn't nearly as good as it needs to be to replace you. In fact, it's actually meant there to help you. If you want to get started with that, you can search for Musho, and in fact we have a complete Musho tutorial already on this channel on the video of 100% AI. So the second last video that we did just did on this channel. If you go ahead and watch it completely, you're going to find Musho AI and how to work with it to generate all of these complete UIs. Something similar, not perfect. AI is going to be freaky and weird, and you might have to work with it for a whole lot, but it's a good place to start. Did you guys know I'm going to be live practically for the whole day today? So this live stream should end before 2, and then there's one from 2 to 5, and then there's one from 5 to 8, and then the biggest, most amazing one, UI Designers Portfolio, the best ever, is at 8 p.m. So it's a packed day for me. And one of the reasons I'm doing this is because there is so much stuff I need to talk about on this channel, and it often gets lost in the process of trying to come live every single day, but also working on videos and also working on all of the other things that I need to work on, and everything gets lost. So that wasn't really panning out. We decided to do weekend live streams because weekends get the highest engagement anyways. All right, the next thing that we're doing is, this is where things get interesting. When you have a color scheme for any website, the primary thinking there is you're going to only use these colors. So for example, if this was my color scheme, my thinking would be I'm going to use these 3 colors, maybe black and white, but then that's it. But sometimes you need to draw your users' attention to your important ingredients, your important highlights, and with that you can't always rely on your colors from your color palette, because it's already there in such huge quantities that if I use this exact shade of green, it was going to get lost. So I had to use all of these different colors. Trick here is, you don't want to use so many colors that everything gets lost. You don't want to make it so weird and complicated that people forget about everything. So you don't want to mess up your color palette basically. So today we're going to talk about how to use 6 different colors outside of your color palette, every single one of them, and still make your UI make some sense. So the first thing that we're going to do is craft these 3: product highlights, quality ingredients, and then this weird line over here. So we're just doing very, very simple stuff now. Product highlights, Atul asks if I'm getting bored all day doing live sessions. I don't think so. I want to go live all the time. Like I used to go in during September, and I feel like the first week of October, even in the last week of August, I went live for like 30-40 days straight, and at the end we were doing like 2 live streams a day, which was super duper fun. But one of those days, like after 40 days of constant live streaming, your head explodes, and then suddenly you're not available to, so suddenly you're just not in a mental position to do any live streams at all. So I burnt myself out there, but that didn't change the fact that I still wanted to do these live streams on account of not only how rewarding it is, but also all of the cool new things that we get to try out. So even if you are working as a professional, even if you're working in one of those businesses which is like constantly churning out clients, you will not get to make UIs at the speed at which you would if you're practicing for yourself. And when you're practicing for yourself, that's when you truly do something great. That's even if you're just working, even if you're just starting out, when you're practicing for yourself, that's when you truly improve. And I feel like the speed at which we get to do this is completely incredible. And the way I see people taking these UIs and putting them in their portfolios and landing their dream positions and stuff like that, it's all so incredible that I have to come live. Quality ingredients. Perfect. If your alignment looks weird, it's probably not aligned in the center, and make sure it is aligned in the center, because we need it to be aligned in the center. Again, this is just random text. You can change this text in case it looks repetitive, because sometimes shapes do that. But if it doesn't, you don't need to change it either. So it's generated 2 new sentences. All are hipster ipsum, which is weird, but it is the way it is. This is going to be a large section, especially because we are putting so much stuff in one place, and it's all going to get super duper boring. Alright, so we're doing 6 different sections, and this one is a little lighter green, so we're just going to go right here and get our lighter green. This works perfectly. You can make it bigger as well. Align this in the center using this button. Alright, and now let's do 6 different icons. What icons should we do? Let's do these exact same icons. Let's do cruelty free. Going back to the question of getting bored during live sessions, I feel like at this point in time, it's so this live streaming has live streams have such complexity and such simplicity at the same time, where it is practically impossible to get bored. And also because when I was doing the 100 days of UI design live stream, and when I did a live stream for like 40 days straight, I'm just getting all the icons now, by the way. When I was doing all of these live streams, this is a story. It was super duper fun, but not everyone's timing was the same, which is one of the reasons we wanted to do 2 live streams, because not everyone who was in the Discord group who was subscribing was available at the same time. Some people were in the 6:30 slot, and some people were in the 8 slot, and for both of those slots we were doing 2 different things. At one of these we were designing our own UIs, and for one of these we were reviewing award sites live. So both of those were very interesting, but it's always difficult for the viewers to come together at the same time. So I'm trying out a new format where everyone is able to be here and have all the fun and not mess up their own schedule. What should we do? What are the next icons? Let's do comment. I've typed out comment. Hopefully that leads us to some good results. What else? What else should we do? Let's do a battery. I forget how to spell during live streams. This is the only disadvantage that I'm at. And I know it might not be visible, but it takes such a long time to actually build a video, get it out there. Live streams happen so much quicker and they're so much easier to digest because they are in real time. I can't speed anything up, I can't slow anything down, and it's all very real for me. So I love doing live streams. Where did you go? Oh no, I think I messed it up. All right, this looks good. So now we're going to click on this button. This is going to align everything in a grid for us. Add an auto layout, just because we need to have these buttons make some sort of sense. And then we're going to get rid of the frame. So you're going to take all of these and get them out of the frame. And now we're going to create all of these as separate components with their own descriptions and titles. Alright, so this is our list of icons that we're using. What is the most difficult part of UI design according to anyone who's watching? I would want to know. I'm going to frame this, add an auto layout, and change. If you guys have any suggestions on what the most difficult parts of UI design are, they're always welcome. Alright, and now we're going to get our title and description too. Let's get these. Again, our roster today is super duper fun because we have a bunch of super nice things planned. The first thing that we're doing is this site, and then I feel like the second one is, hold on, let me check what the second one is, because I want to go back and recollect. The second one we're doing is actually a portfolio photography website today at 2. And then the third one we're doing, all of these are Indian Standard Times, by the way. The third one is an epic fantasy landing page UI, which is something similar to the projects that we used to do in the past but haven't done for a little while. And then the last one at 8 today is our own portfolio for UI UX designers, which I don't think anyone who's watching this should miss. It's like using all of the best practices, a couple of innovative things as well. So it has paper crushed effect and all of these things that you don't get to hear about every single day. You don't get to use every single day, but when you do use it, it does show a level of complexity and it does show a level of expertise that you wouldn't normally see. We're going to group this together, and now we have our very first group ready with us. Atul says the most confusing part is selecting fonts. Okay, I feel like I could do a video on it at some point. We'll do a video on selecting fonts. We will. That is a promise. I will do a video at some point, not right now, not today obviously, and not tomorrow, because tomorrow we have 4 other streams planned. But within, I feel like 1 week or 2, we are going to get something done. This is our auto layout. We're going to get rid of it now because you know what, let's create a layout anyways. And now we're going to take this, put it inside of our icon, get rid of it. Let's remove this and let's just get some text that we need. Cruelty free. You can reduce the font size. I feel like I will. Let's do this 18. Align this in the center. Cruelty free. And let's add all of these other titles as well. Diverse range, eco-friendly packaging. Diverse range, eco-friendly packaging. you know what, there is going to be a video, that is true, but I also want to talk about font sizes, for font selection a little bit. Fonts are of two types, obviously, serif and sans serif. Serifs have these lines over them, sans serif don't have lines over them. And then here's the interesting part: if you only use serifs, it's going to get boring. If you only use sans serifs, it's going to get boring. So it's always wise to have one serif, one sans serif, especially if you're just starting out. There are a couple of serif fonts that are perfect for everyday beginners, and I'm going to name them out. So the first font that I love in serifs is Playfair Display. It's simple, it works for most occasions. And then here's a variation: the italic version for Playfair Display is so beautiful. Like, check this out, check this queue out. Who would believe this is the queue for this guy? So it is super duper awesome if you're wanting to focus on that. And it's Playfair Display is the most hottest font right now, absolutely. And there are a couple of others. You could do Sand Creek. Sand Creek is a nice serif font. It's for the fun vibe for the most part, and also you can do very, very ancient brown shades of UI with that. And now we're going to think about our sans serifs, which are these plain looking fonts. Plain looking fonts, you don't have to go outside of like 3 or 4 if you're just starting out. Inter, Open Sans, Lato, which we're just using, and Outfit. That's it. People use Poppins, people use Montserrat, but they are very stretched out fonts and will give a weird stretchy feel to your UIs. Unpopular opinion, but it is true. It's very, very easy to get lost. I used to get lost in like typography all the time, and that isn't the case anymore. This is our first row, and now we're going to duplicate this once again. I'm not going to change the text this time, just because I am going to talk about one cool feature that Figma lets you do. So if you have an auto layout going on with the group, even if you don't, if it knows you have a number of components over here, you get to select this frame, swap it around. Check this out. This is super duper cool. Automatically you get to shuffle these. This is awesome, right? And now we're going to get our other icons too. So we're just going to get this, place this inside, and where did you go? We're going to get rid of the paw. Perfect. Shift this. Oops. If it's not perfectly set, you're going to make sure everything is perfectly aligned in the center. Alright, and now we're going to get this for the second one as well. Get the next guy in. This is the battery icon. Get rid of our camera. Get our leaf icon. Get rid of this guy. And now we're going to talk about balancing colors out. It is difficult to add colors that aren't traditionally a part of your color palette and yet make them work, but we're going to handle it somehow. Here's one thing you need to know. If your background is black, you don't want to use, especially in icons like this, you don't want to use a pure shade of red. You don't want to use a pure shade of green. You don't want to use a pure shade of blue or a pure shade of purple. You want to use your color, and then you want to bring this number down on the top right corner. So you want to shift this holder around in the top right corner, and this is going to give you a color that really works well with your background, because your background is almost black. Let's do pink for cruelty free, because that is quite a relatable shade for cruelty free. Let's do diverse range. Now we're just picking out our colors that look good together. So we're going to diverse range, change this color to light blue, bring this on the top left, and then top right, and then I forget left and right. Weird. Change this black to, what should we do? Let's do yellow, and then we're going to bring this down, and then we're going to switch it to like orange, because it's difficult to pull off these guys. Change this from diverse range to let's do purple, and bring this down. And I feel like this is a really good example of us balancing out colors. Change this to, what should we, you can just take one of these colors that we're already using and then shift this slider around until you're happy with things, and that should be nice. Let's do, what should we do next? Let's do this blue. I'm not completely happy with the way this blue looks, so I'm just going to shift this. All right, this looks perfect. And now we're going to make sure our titles are also using the same exact title color, because a sense of balance. Let's increase the font size. I feel like we just got rid of, you know what, I don't need to increase the font size, I need to make it black. So we're just going to make sure everything is set to black. Oops. And then change the font color to the same that we were using. Let's make this black and also change the color to yellow. And we're going to change this to black again and change this to blue. Let's change this to black and then change this to green. Let's change this to black again and then change this to purple. Done. This is a perfect example of how you're going to get your colors not very dark, not very bright. At the very core, when you're using many colors, don't make any color the brightest shade of red, the brightest shade of blue. It's going to be blinding and it's going to mess with your color palette on so many levels. It's terrible advice. All right, I feel like we're at the almost closing to the end of this one. The next one that we're building out is this simple description section. Very, very simple stuff. Let's reduce this. Check this out, you guys. This looks so fine and so refined. I genuinely like the way it looks. All right, the next thing that we're building out is our frame. Let's go right here, and this frame is going to hold our description for our testimonial. So this is the feedback of the person who has used our service. We're going to select a simple ellipse, put this in here and change the image. So we're going to go right here, go to we should go to plugins and widgets. Let's choose Lumi. Lumi is the perfect place for stock images, especially if you're just starting out, because all of the images on Unsplash, Pixels, Pixabay are very, very free, but they have been used like thousands of times and it's easy to identify them. Lumi is still new, which is why it's easier to get fresh images from there. Let's search for something blue or green. This looks like a good shade of green. And if you have two different people but you only want feedback from one, you're going to go over here and select crop, and then you're going to crop this guy out. You can crop it as much as you'd like, and check it out now. His shoulders feel like it's a chair. Done. Change this to a dark shade of green that we were using from our color palette, this one. And now we have, oops, where did my image go? All right, and now we have a testimonial giver. Now we only want the testimonial. This serum has completely changed my scale. I feel more confident than ever. Let's type this out. This serum has completely why can I not type suddenly on live streams? Change my skin. I am alive. All right, we're going to change we're going to change the font size now to, let's do 32. And also we're going to get rid of all of this. Hold on. All right, we're going to make sure we have a name and also the position of the person who is here. Let's align this in the center. Just click on this button, aligns everything in the center for you automatically. And we're going to get this text here, copy and paste it. It's okay to have a simple testimonial section, especially because the user who's just reading it just wants to know what someone else has said, and you don't need to pull out all the bows and arrows for this one. And we've done a lot of complicated techniques in this UI too, which means you need a little bit of white space, you need a little bit of breathing room to get accommodated to normal UIs as well. So you don't want to overload the cognitive load of the user. Beauty influencer, skincare enthusiast. I do not want to type that out. You guessed it. I am not typing it out. I'm just going to copy it, and we're so close to getting this one done, you guys. All that we've done is change the color from this to the green that was in our color palette, and also we've reduced the font size from 20 to 16. That's it. And now let's get this closer to this one, and I feel like this is it. Done. Boom. Alright, this is our section. The last two that we're building out are actually one single large fused section, which is super awesome. This is all of the brands that trust us, and this is our footer section. And this is such a new footer effect to see. Like, I haven't seen something like this happen to footers ever, and this is going to be an awesome one. Increase this guy and also add a frame. We do need to add a conventional frame, even though the section is unconventional, because at some point there needs to be a divider, especially if you're handing off something like this to a developer. They are going to want a differentiation of divs or frames. You could call anything in HTML a div. Where did my frame go? I feel like we deleted the frame for some reason. I'm going to add a stroke here just so I know how big the frame is. Let's put this right here, add a fill. Where did you go? I feel like it's still inside. We should get it out. Done. Alright, we're going to get rid of this guy now. Change this to green. This is the green that we were using. Perfect. Increase the width, height of the frame. Perfect. Alright, and now we're just going to add all of these brands that trust us. You don't have to do anything complicated for it. All of these images are available in the Discord group. So if you just go to the Discord group and go to all assets, you're going to find all of these images. You just have to click on Ctrl+Shift+K and import these images. Put them in an auto layout. Simplest thing ever. Press them right here. Alright, and now we're going to add a footer. I feel like the frame is too big for the footer now, so we're just going to go over here, and we're so close to being done, you guys. I can practically see it. Alright, now we're building out the footer. It's the simplest thing to do. Seems complicated, but is actually very, very simple. You're going to create one last frame. Again, while we're doing this, if you guys have any questions related to anything software, anything UI design, I am super duper happy to answer them. Even general advice related to UI UX design, interviewing, anything of those sorts. Now we're building out our footer. Make sure it is still inside your main frame. Let's now do our title and description. Alright, so this is now, we're going to put down the name of our brand and also a logo. If you have a real brand and logo, you're going to put it at the top as well. But right now we don't, so I'm not going to bother. Let's do a cube, because why not? Dice. Reduce this guy, place it right here. Change this to radiant glow. Done. Make it white. Make it thicker. And now we're going to add a description. Copy and paste the text box. Put it right here. Change this to whatever text you want it to be. We're going to go to Lumi and get text changed. Again, we need to reduce this font size. And if you have too much text, just get rid of some. This is our tagline, by the way. For real brands, getting this right is really important, but for us, not so much. Alright. If you guys have any questions related to UI UX design, just dump them in the chat. Let's do company, hiring. If you guys want any certain words, links over here, just leave them too. about services. I feel like we're going to do a 4x4 grid, so 4 over here and 4 on that side. 1, 2, 3, and finally 4. We can style them later. Product, features, quality, diversity. Let's get it all typed out. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to like the video. Product, features. If you haven't yet subscribed, what are you doing? Subscribe now. If you don't like UI UX design, don't subscribe, because that's what we talk about here. Sustainability. Also, if any of you guys are already subscribed, if you could make sure you have like your bell icon for notifications clicked and pressed, because it gets easier for you to know when I'm live, that I'm live, if you have your bell icon with you. Social, YouTube, Instagram. Let's do Facebook. 3 more, I feel like. Legal terms, privacy. We'll get rid of 1. Legal. Subscribe, you guys, and like this video. Alright, now we're going to press shift. This is really, really important. Press shift, select all of these at once. And then click on this blue button, and it just aligns things for you. You add an auto layout. And then, you know what? This is quite complicated. You're just going to get all of your different rows, build them out. Let's do social. Where did you go? Align them in a line. Let's do 2. Let's do auto layout 2 here as well. Legal, privacy, services. No, legal, privacy, terms. And group them together. And now we're going to create an auto layout for these as well. Make them go down with the spacing of 2. Company, hiring, about, services, group them together, add an auto layout, put them down, bring them to 2. And we're going to select the master frame, the bigger frame of these, and make it go sideways. Change the spacing to, let's reduce the spacing. Change the space. What is going on here? What is happening? Make sure they have the exact width that they need to have. Not more, not less. Don't let them act funny. And also, oops, make sure there is a nice amount of spacing over here. Perfect. And I feel like we're very close to getting done now. You can adjust the spacing for all of these. And change this to, let's do 5, and then we can go from there. Put this right here, and I feel like we're almost done. We're going to make sure we have an exact amount of spacing. Go down to the bottom. And now we're going to construct our awesome wave. So you're going to make a wave here, and then there's going to be one more wave at the back. Let's do a wave. You know what? We can just do the get waves plugin because it looks so good. Get waves. Get a little bit complex. Create it. You can flip it vertically, or you could just have flipped it using the plugin where it had a reverse wave feature. We can send it back, but not that behind. Send this to back as well, and now we're going to change this color to green. Awesome. This works. We're going to make sure everything has the right position. Okay, so actually this vector is actually a part of this frame, and it's behind this frame. So this is the trick. This vector is actually a part of the footer frame, and it's behind all of the text. And then we're going to copy and paste this wave once again. Right click, flip horizontal, just to get things flip. You know what, why are we flipping things now? We have the get waves plugin. Let's get some waves. We're going to put this over here and create a wave. Again, we're going to flip it horizontal. No, not horizontally. Flip it vertically. And then obviously we're going to do one of these colors from here. Not entirely sure what. Let's just get this exact same color here. Or you know what we can do? We can do something that we already have. Let's do this. This works. This, I feel like this is the exact color that we were using. And we're going to get it inside of our frame, but behind all of the text. Check it. Done. Super awesome. We could make this lighter or darker, and that would make our lives easier as well. To a very high degree, this can be adjusted and it would make your life so much easier. All right, this is our complete UI, and I am really happy with the way it looks. Let's now present it. Close off this guy for confusion. And now we're going to make sure we have a prototype device with us. So we're going to go to prototype settings, choose Android expanded if you want a laptop or if you want a tablet or a mobile screen, MacBook Air if you want a laptop. Let's do MacBook Air. Check this out, you guys. It actually looks good. If your frame is acting weird like mine, you're just going to make sure it has the complete width, and that should do your job. Check this out. This actually looks good. You can add this to your portfolio. It's the simplest thing ever. It's super easy to make. You don't have to have a lot of images for it. You don't have to have a lot of experience for it. It uses so many super cool techniques, including waves inside of your UIs, including super cool glow effects, 3D glow effects, and simple UIs, simple navigation, super amazing color palette, taking on green not in a conventional sense but in a dark mode sort of fashion. So this is really good if you're trying to do a dark mode too. The color palette here is awesome. Fonts, colors, typography, everything just works perfectly. I'm not going now I'm going to share this prototype with you guys. If you want to check it out, it is in the live chat. You can go back to the live replay and get it for yourself. Check it out, have some fun, let me know how you like it. I'm just going to change this to live. And with that, we have our complete UI design ready with us. If you guys liked what we're doing here, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to click on the bell icon. I will be live here again at 2 p.m., 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time, because this is the weekend and we're doing super duper many live streams on the weekend, as many as we can. All about amazing streams. If you want to check out a photography portfolio website, that's the next one we're building out. The last website that we're building out actually today is a UI UX designer's portfolio guide, so you do want to check that out. It's the best portfolio in the world, my opinion. And I will see you in the next video. Have fun.